If you're passionate about politics, and I know you are, you're focused on Iowa. In about 60-plus days, we're going to find out who's the caucus winner there, who will have the momentum going to New Hampshire. And if you look at Barack Obama's success, that's where it all started for him. He was a runaway train after that. Bob Vander Plaats joins us right now in studio. He's a prominent social conservative in Iowa, president and CEO of the Family Leader, and he's really known as the kingmaker, especially if you ask the guy who has an office diagonally over Governor Mike Huckabee. When he convinced you, Bob, to support him, things went very well for him.
Well, things went well because of a couple things. One is Governor Mike Huckabee is a great candidate.
Yeah.
As I tell people, you can't close the deal with anybody if you don't have a great candidate. And Mike Huckabee was a great candidate. The people of Iowa are very discerning, and the more they were around Mike Huckabee, the more they liked Mike Huckabee. That's why Mike Huckabee won the Iowa caucuses.
Right. So he convinced you, knowing that he was. We just went over this. It's Rudy Giuliani. It was Fred Thompson at this point, and then Mike Huckabee.
Right.
So he convinced you that he had a shot at winning, or he convinced you that he's worth your time?
Well, he convinced me that he's the right individual with the right characteristic to be president. He actually convinced me back in 2006, November of 2006. I signed on January of 2007. Governor Huckabee was an asterisk in the polls. No one gave him any likelihood that he would win. And it was about this time that he started to catch some traction, got to gain some steam. Iowans break late. Usually it's around that Thanksgiving time frame, and that's where they went with Mike Huckabee. I think the same thing's going to happen this go-around as well.
Now, the caucus is actually January 3rd.
It's January 3rd, just under 60 days from now.
All right, so just under 60 days. Now, on November 19th, you'll have something very important.
We have a Thanksgiving family forum, and the reason I set it up this way is I'm neutral in this race right now, and I saw what happened to Huckabee and how Iowans broke right at Thanksgiving time. So we have all the candidates confirmed with the exception of Romney, and we're really hopeful that Romney will join. They'll be seated shoulder to shoulder by a Thanksgiving table facing over 2,000 caucus goers. We already have over 100 international press credentialed for this event. And Frank Luntz, a guy you know really well, is going to be doing the moderating. And it's going to get beyond the talking points. Why do you think what you think? Why do you believe what you believe? Because then we'll know how a person is threaded and what they will do leadership-wise when they get to be president.
So what I don't understand is I've always been told that Iowa's the retail politics. You got to go out and you got to meet people. You got to go to the places. Then why is it that Herman Cain and Mitt Romney are doing so well, but yet they haven't put the time in?
Well, first of all, Romney's doing well because he has a lot of residual value from 4 years ago. There's still a lot of supporters.
He was nowhere 4 years ago. He didn't do well in your caucus, did he?
Well, he did. He took second place. It was a really tight race between him and Huckabee right down to the finish. Huckabee ended up beating him by 9 points, but Romney invested millions upon millions of dollars.
Right.
The other thing is, I think you see with these debates, there's a large percentage of Americans tuning into these debates, Iowans as well. Mm-hmm. And I think it's also reflective of the global stage. Everybody's a little bit uncertain right now, or greatly uncertain right now, about the world dynamics. And so one candidate rises, Michelle Bachmann, a candidate falls. Another one rises, Rick Perry, another one falls. Herman Cain now rises, and now people are starting to take another look at Newt Gingrich and Rick Santorum. I think those guys have got a shot to catch their day in the sun.
Now, I noticed you did not bring up John Huntsman. You're not a fan?
Well, John Huntsman's not a fan of Iowa. He says he's not coming to Iowa. He's not going to participate in Iowa because he doesn't like our stance on ethanol subsidies. And I'm thinking, there's a lot of Iowans who don't like our stance on ethanol subsidies. And if you have a better energy policy, that's what presidential politics is for. Come in and engage people, engage the debate, lift it to a higher standard. But Huntsman's bypassing Iowa, so we didn't invite him.
And I want you to expand on this when we come back, because you just said something very interesting. A conservative, Michelle Bachmann rises, she falls. Where do they go? Well, they went over to Rick Perry. Yeah. Rick Perry rises and falls. Where do they go as he falls? They go over to Herman Cain. Herman Cain rises, and maybe he falls. Will they finally go to Mitt Romney? I'll find out when we return with Bob Vander Plaats, the true kingmaker of Iowa. And all eyes are on Iowa getting set for January 3rd as we get set for Wednesday's debates. Don't go anywhere. Kilmeade and Friends. I know this has been a really strong show, thanks to guests like Bob Vander Plaats, who's with us right now. He's a social conservative out of Iowa, the CEO of the Family Leader, and he's the president and CEO there. He's got 2 titles, 2 paychecks, it sounds like. And Bob, you're playing a major role, or you're going to play a major role in who is going to get the GOP, who's going to win the caucus, correct?
Well, we're definitely playing a major role. Our forum on November 19 is going to be, I think, significant, because I think that's going to determine, will the conservatives in Iowa coalesce around a candidate? Because right now, as you talked before we went to break, Bachmann rises, Perry rises, they fall. Where do they go? Right now, 75% of Iowans are undecided. That means
75%.
75%.
How high is that compared to previous years?
Oh, it's very high. But the reason is, Brian, there's been so many candidates that thought they were going to run, and Iowans were waiting. I mean, was Huckabee going to get in? Trump going to get in? Was Governor Christie going to get in? Palin? None of them come in, so that made people sit on the sidelines. Well, so 75% are undecided. So what a Perry needs to do, or a Santorum, or a Gingrich, or one of those 5, they need to coalesce 30% to most likely beat Mitt Romney to be the caucus winner. If we are not successful in coalescing, Romney will walk away as the caucus winner with putting a little bit of time into Iowa.
How would you feel about that?
Well, you know what I think?
Because I know technically you haven't made up your mind.
I have not made up my mind. And what I think Governor Romney's challenge is now is he needs to assure conservatives, I'll be in our audience on November 19, and people can learn about that at thefamilyleader.com, is he needs to assure them that you guys don't have to look for an alternative presidential candidate. I can deliver on your issues as well. I'm a great leader. I've got a great family story to tell. I believe in the things you do, but I want to get this economy on track, which is a very pro-family thing to do.
And, Bob, the fact is, as I told you the scenario before, which I'm not informing you on, we're just reviewing it together, about Bachmann's rise and fall, Herman Cain, which could be a fall, was certainly a rise, and Perry's rise and fall. All the conservatives just tried to find somebody else, but they didn't go to Mitt Romney. Will that change, and why do you think that is?
Well, first of all, they're looking for the alternative to Mitt Romney right now. I think they're looking to see who would be the challenge to Mitt Romney to be a 2-person race going into New Hampshire, then to South Carolina, Florida, and Super Tuesday. And I think they're just not confident with Mitt Romney because he's been inconsistent on some issues, whether it's been marriage or life or health care or education. There's been a lot of so what they're trying to figure out with Governor Romney is, can I trust you? And in any leadership position, whether it's Fox News or the Family Leader or running for president, one of the first questions have got to be asked is, can we trust you? Is there a level of character and integrity that we know how you will lead in the future no matter what comes up?
When you think about Iowa, you think about family values and social awareness. And having said that, with the Herman Cain situation, even though he's polling strong nationally, will that have a double effect? Maybe New Hampshire, they would maybe be a little bit more tolerant in Iowa, the way the stereotype reads, that maybe they'll be a little black and white on this?
Well, Iowans will probably be black and white on it, but the first thing Iowans will do is they will give Herman Cain a fair vetting here. They're not going to reach to any conclusions right now. I don't think it's hurt Herman Cain because Iowans have been through this process before. They're going, another allegation, so it must be a day that ends in Y. So let's see what that allegation turns out to be. If it's true and Herman Cain hasn't come fully clean on this, it's going to definitely hurt Herman Cain.
All right. I want you to hear from yesterday's Meet the Press. It was George Will weighed in and Matthew Dowd, as well as Niall Ferguson, on Mitt Romney. Now, you have George Will, obviously not a fan. A lot of conservatives were all over the place. Charles Krauthammer seems to be somewhat in his corner. But listen to this, cut 18.
In 1996, he denounced the flat tax as a tax cut for fat cats. This year, he says, I love a flat tax. That's not a nuance.
Well, and the fundamental problem that he has, and watch why he sits at this 25% lid, and watch why the Tea Party voters in the Republican Party won't vote for him, which conservatives don't want to vote for him, is they think that he's got a secret. And his secret is going to be, he's going to win the nomination, and as soon as he wins the nomination, he's going to go back to what he was in Massachusetts, and he's going to set himself up as a moderate to run against Barack Obama as a moderate businessman. That's what they think, and they're valid to fear. Much of the voters in the Republican Party are valid to fear that.
Because that's what he's got to do to win. And I actually think the base case scenario is that is exactly what's going to happen. He'll get the nomination, and there'll be lots of grumbling on the right, and then he will be the credible contender who actually beats Obama. I think right now you'd be very unwise to bet against Mitt Romney becoming president.
And you were nodding your head on all of them. These are very respected opinion makers and columnists and deep thinkers who, two of which are not supporters.
And that's the concern Romney has. There's too much of a cloud of doubt with Mitt Romney, and that's why he hasn't been able to punch through those numbers at all. But here's the other thing, and if I was speaking to Governor Romney, it's not only showing up in Iowa at our forum, going with your peers in front of Frank Luntz, assuring conservatives, but Iowa and other states are going to be toss-up states. And the only way you're going to win the presidency is if this base is excited to do all the hard work for you. So you can't diss that base. You have to go out and you got to come clean with that base, assure that base they can trust you, because they need to be excited if you're going to win the presidency.
And the president always speaks about the miracle in Iowa.
Right.
What happened with him on the Democratic side when he beat Hillary Clinton, and they were stunned, and they never really got on their feet again.
Yeah, and a lot of people even point to 4 years ago on the Republican side. We launched Mike Huckabee. And I think most analysts would say Mike Huckabee would have been a much better candidate against Barack Obama than John McCain. But Huckabee didn't have the resources to go forward. So Iowans are doing their vetting process. They take this thing very, very serious. And I look forward to see how this thing shakes out.
Right. So we will find out soon, and we'll find out in your forum. Now, has you gotten an okay from all the candidates? Are they all going to be there?
All of them are going to be there with the exception of Romney. And Romney's team is deliberating right now if they're going to show up or not. Frank Luntz has said, listen, Governor Romney, you need to be there. If you're not there, every 30 minutes we're going to remind the audience, in-house and televised, that you're not here, and you chose not to be here. But this is a chance. I really believe this is an opportunity for Governor Romney to really send a message to these conservatives that you don't have to look for an alternative that might break his numbers.
If we want to find out what the family leader's thinking about and what you're thinking about, Bob, do you guys have a website?
Yeah, go to thefamilyleader.com, and we're very excited to play a part in this process. We're teaming right now with Citizen Link, a national organization for marriage, and obviously Frank Luntz and pulling off, I think, will be one of the most crucial forums in the entire process.
Okay, will Mitt Romney begin to get the conservatives, as maybe some of them leave Herman Cain's camp, 1-866-408-7669, and will Herman Cain have a week of scandal or a week of back to issues like he wants? And President Obama, what's with him and his relationship with Speaker Boehner? Why does America have to pay the price because they can't get along? Bob Vander Plaats, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And your call's next on Kilmeade and Friends.
Like Fox and Friends, without the green room and free Danish. You're with Kilmeade and Friends.